Hello everybody, my name's Manga, and welcome back to the overview, where it's finally time to get into the actual LEGO One Piece sets. We looked at some brickheads last time, but those are fucking bullshit. Brickheads are fine, but they're not really why most people are going to be here. They are here for the minifigure-based sets. So today we are starting with the smallest of those, which retails for $30 American. For 299 pieces, you can get set number 75636. The Windmill Village Hut. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this before, but fun fact, in like the rumors, this was touted as a party's bar. It's the only one whose name changed from what I can tell. I'd have to check. Or maybe it was just people reading into it a little bit too early. However, it's interesting because like they obviously had the name like be different because you can't call something the bar in LEGO, even though this wave has 2 bars, funnily enough. Yeah, I'm glad this is here. Also, fun little fact, this is kind of sort of a remake of one of the 4 Mega Bloks One Piece sets. I'm sure I'll mention those in later videos if I do end up making them, which I hope I will. But yeah, this is a remake of one of the Mega Bloks sets, which is really fun. So yeah, we finally get to take a look at the actual packaging style for LEGO One Piece. Last time the Brickheads was a little bit different, but today we get to take an actual look at this wonderful style of box art. Now at the front, it's obviously like a render of the kit. LEGO hasn't really done like product photography in a long time for its boxes, unfortunately, which is a little annoying, but I kind of get it. But behind it is this wonderful painterly background, which is, to be fair, inspired by, probably just taken from the general promotional look of One Piece live action. Like, it has this, like, if you look at this Luffy here, which is just taken straight from that style, it is fairly similar to basically all of One Piece's promotion, but in a somewhat coincidental but somewhat fun way, it feels a lot like the backgrounds that were on old LEGO Pirates sets. A little bit more detailed, sure, there's a lot more buildings here, but it looks like a bit like a classic Pirates box, which is very fun. But yeah, we've got the maps in the corner because maps are also a very big aesthetic of One Piece, and especially the live-action LEGO Netflix One Piece. In this map, in this corner, you get a breakdown of the 3 different minifigures that you get in the set: a young Monkey D. Luffy, red-haired Shanks, and Makino. You get all the information here because this is the American style box. It's for ages 8 and up, even though this video is for adults. It's set number 75636, it's the Windmill Village Hut. You get 299 pieces, and it's a building toy. We get this nice rendering of Iñaki Godoy's Luffy right there, and of course we get a nice image of the full set. Very nicely done, very nicely posed. I like how it looks. On this side, we get this wonderful Lego-ified drawing of like the generic promotional poster for live-action One Piece. It looks great. I love how it looks. I want a poster of it, like one that's like physical and I can eat or something. This looks great. I love that they put in the extra effort to put this in, and here it says LEGO Netflix, One Piece. On this side, it's mostly promotions. There's one randomized wanted poster in the set, which I'm sure I'll talk about later. LEGO Netflix One Piece, go through the app or whatever. On the bottom, basic promotional stuff that it's a recyclable box. On the top, where things are made and translations and stuff, you get the LEGO Netflix One Piece. And then here, on the shelf, you get a 1:1 scale minifigure right here, so you can know the general size of what you're getting. Specifically, it shows Shanks, which is nice. And on the back, it shows you everything that you can do with the set, which is fairly minimal, but it looks nice. You can fit everyone inside of the bar because it's fun. You can take off the sides of the bar for the sake of putting minifigures in there, for the sake of roleplay and stuff. Out here we have the main scene of Shanks about to leave. I love how they covered up his arm with the cape. That's very cute. And then it shows Luffy crying as Shanks puts on the hat. A very iconic moment that I'm glad they're referencing here. And of course you get the push tabs, and that there's one random wanted poster. So yeah, that is the box, but we need to get this thing unboxed, right? So why don't we do that? And we're back with the general overview. So here's the Windmill Village Hut, aka Party's Bar, the live-action version specifically. This is one of the bigger differentiations in looks between the live-action and the original series. Because in the original, it's just kind of like, it's a lot more generic of a building in comparison to like this sort of like tropical sort of like shack, I guess. Which I guess this is what this is going for. It feels a little bit more like realistically piratey. But yeah, I guess we should start with the minifigures. I'll start with the least exciting one. I'll lift off the roof because I just have her in the bar. I keep dropping Shanks because this is where I like to have them. We'll get there. We have the Barkeep Makino, very much one of the more interesting inclusions in this overall lineup. I'm glad to have her, but they obviously didn't go too crazy with adapting her, which I guess is fair. She's a kind of one-off flashback character. But it's nice to have her in this set. She could have used a little bit of like specialized molding, like she wears like a headband all the time, so she wasn't as immediately recognizable even with her green hair. Her face print works fine, especially for live-action Makino, but it feels a little generic. Like I feel like I've seen this face on a million different minifigures, just it's on a different color of plastic. But the torso is really well done. It looks just like her shirt in the series. It's got the right printing. It doesn't feel too detailed. It feels just right. I do kind of wish the skirt had a little bit of extra detailing, though. I think this is my personal first time getting this new like dress sculpt. I'm used to it just being a like a 2x2 slope sort of dealio. But this is new. I know they can print the front, but they didn't this time, which is a little annoying, but I kind of get it. I do think this is a part that could have benefited from like a couple of like ruffles, just because it is so flat and one-sided. But I don't think she's... If you're going to cheap out on any minifigure, sure, make it Makino. She's very much a side character in this set. Important, obviously, to have if you're doing a Party's Bar. Next up, though, is a, I guess, far more important character. We'll take a look at Red-Haired Shanks, captain of the Red-Haired Pirates, and yeah, this is a good minifigure. For one, a very strong print quality. It looks very nice. This is a very sharp, clean-looking print for the skin tone. It looks great. Yeah, there's just a lot going on here. It is a fairly simple minifigure. It's Shanks has a fairly simple look. I'm sure people will get on this line for not really doing leg printing. They get on Marvel for that all the time, but unlike Marvel, a lot of characters in One Piece just kind of wear pants with similarly colored boots. So I'd rather them not over-detail it and save the budget for elsewhere. Such as this shirt print, which is perfectly Shanks. It's got that very sort of like dirty, musty quality where it doesn't look like he's ironed it out at all. If I do wish there was any leg printing, I kind of wish this sash continued onto the belt, but it's fine. But it's got the buttons right, it's got the deep V right, it's got... I like how it's, like, the little bits are colored yellow to imply, like, staining. And yeah, it's just a very simple but strong print. I feel like I can say that about a lot of the One Piece figures. His hairpiece isn't unique to him. I believe, from what I've heard, at least, it's from, like, the BTS set. It's one of those hairpieces, but it works very well. It feels very Shanks-like. And I do like his little smirk here. It feels, once again, very Shanks, and he has his scars, which are very nicely printed. It's a very well-done design. His other side is a more serious, which, again, very nice to have. I think his eyes are silver on this side. I don't think I noticed that. They have, like, a silver to them. I guess because he's using hockey, which is very interesting, actually. Because, like, on this side they're white, but on this side they're silver. So I guess that's him using hockey, which is very intriguing indeed. But, like, you can just use this for, like, any Shanks you want. And he also comes with a decent swath of accessories. So he has this hair, obviously, but since this is in the flashback, you also have the straw hat. This is the same straw hat mold as the one that'll come in later sets with Luffy, mainly on the Going Merry and the Baratier. But it oddly fits the sculpt of Shanks' hair well. I don't think this is a unique hair sculpt for him, but it does work. I'm pretty sure that is just the same, like if I compare it to, I'll grab Luffy's hair for a second. I believe it is meant to mimic this sculpt more than it is meant to mimic Shanks' sculpt. because I'm pretty sure this is just the same mold that you have for that Luffy, but with a dark red. And yeah, it's nice. It's a very impressive sculpt. I have my qualms with the Straw Hat being Heat Orange, but it is probably the closest Lego color that you can get to the sort of like orangish tan that the Straw Hat is, and I do like that we get the red band, and I like the red hair. It's a very impressive sculpt, and it just looks perfect, and I do hope this Straw Hat gets used for like other generic minifigures, because I feel like it would work well there. He also comes with a generic pirate sword. The hilt is a bit big, but it does work well as the Griffin. I don't need them to make a new Griffin sculpt, and I do feel like it's a nice little callback to classic LEGO Pirates, while also working quite well. Now, you'll notice he has both his arms, again, because this is the flashback, but the sets do portray that if you do this, you can imagine that he only has one arm, which I think is a very toyetic solution to the problem, and yeah, the cape does cover it up well. And for anyone wondering, it's a papery sort of, it's a stiffer cape in its capiness. Final figure, I'm spending a lot of time on the minifigures, which is not a good sign, I guess, is young Luffy. This is my second anchor shirt Luffy, which is very funny, but I think it works fairly well. The short legs are obviously short legs. It would have been nice if they were triple molded, or dual molded. But it's fine. I think it's a little bit more annoying that he doesn't have dual molded arms, because this is a short sleeved shirt. I'm not too annoyed about it since it is his secondary look, and like, I'm fine with a longer sleeved anchor shirt Luffy, especially since they got the anchor shirt printed perfectly. It looks great, but I think my favorite part, also, this is a new hair sculpt for Iñaki Godoy's Luffy. It's a bit thick, but it does have the nice curls that his Luffy has, which is very nicely done, very nicely portrayed. But my favorite part, he has two head sculpts, or face prints, I should say. He has this happy one smiling all over the place, which does feel very Luffy, but this is something LEGO doesn't really ever do. We have Luffy crying to specifically recreate the hat pass-off scene, and yeah, I'm just astounded and amazed that this got into a LEGO minifigure. This is insane, and I am so happy that the designers of these minifigures and the designers of these sets, I imagine, probably fought for this decision to be like, because I don't imagine LEGO would immediately be like, oh yeah, you gotta have Luffy crying. I imagine the designers were like, no, we're putting our foot down, this has to be there. I know it's out of focus, but Luffy crying has to be a part of this set, otherwise why are we making this set in the first place? In terms of his accessories, it's marked as mainly this other Straw Hat sculpt. You get both Straw Hat sculpts in this set. This is the hairless one. It doesn't look great on minifigures, it's mainly for like backs, but you can see it has this little clip so that a minifigure can take their hand and hold it, which again is really cool, because holding this Straw Hat is so important so much of the time. Yeah, this feels like a necessary function, and it allows you to do that. So, onto the set itself. We'll start off with this. It comes with a classic LEGO dinghy, which feels like a necessary part of any Pirates theme, so it's good they included it in here, especially as like a little reference, essentially, to the Luffy getting drawn out to sea, or taken out to sea by the Mountain Bandit. As a note, I do kind of wish the set came with that Mountain Bandit. It would have been nice to have, but I wouldn't have wanted to replace any of these minifigures with a Mountain Bandit, so since they probably only had the budget for 3 minifigures, that's fair. Anyways, it's nice to have this boat, and it also has 2 oars, which can be held by a minifigure. These have been parts that exist. But inside of the thingy, we have a box, which is meant to hold the Gum Gum Fruit. I won't say anything about the Gum Gum Fruit in lore right now, because I'll have to rant spoilerily. But this is a nice little build. It uses these 2 Angry Birds eggshell pieces to great effect, and it gives it this very mystical, fruity feeling. I shouldn't say that, but it gives this very like magical feel where it's like a very unique fruit. And as much as it isn't perfectly the Straw Hat, I wonder if they could have made a custom sculpt for this little stem. It works fine, or at least have made the stem gold. But it works really well as a Gum Gum Fruit. It's a little oversized, but a lot of LEGO accessories tend to be a little oversized, so it works. But yeah, I like to also use this to store my spare accessories, because it's just a good place for it. Moving on to the set itself, we have this little dock, which is fairly simply done. We got these little blue tiles, circular tiles for the ground. It has this very nice upper area where it is unevenly like built, using these triangular plates, which look very nice, and the railing on this side is also simply done But again, does look nice. Is I say molding, but like these are Legos, so I can't really say molding because they're sculpted out of bricks or whatever. It's done very well, and it gets a little bit more structured here. The build process was fine enough. It's nothing too groundbreaking. This is a 300-part set. I didn't expect too much, but it does feel nice, and honestly, the build itself, I'll put this here, feels very substantial for $30. It certainly helps that it is a very gappy building, but it feels right in doing so. It feels like a fairly chunky build for a modern $30 set. It probably could have been cheaper. That's a whole other conversation, having to deal with like inflation and whatnot, but whatever. The inside of the bar, it's a little bit hard to see at times, but there are ways to access it. You can remove the roof, which is really well done. It gets a little bit repetitive having to do this twice, but it has this nice ramshackle feel that I really, really like. It looks very nice. And I do like how they use these rocky pieces to almost look like straw, essentially. It looks very nice. But yeah, it's easily removed. I kind of wish it had a little bit more stability in how it's there. As it is now, you just kind of use these bricks as guidelines and just kind of stick it there, so it feels a little loose. But it does mean it's easy to remove. And also, as far as complaints go, the stickers on this are really annoying to line up and get there. I was able to get there in the end, I think, but it works fine. They also remove the notices board, and you'll see right here at the notices board, there's Yellow Crab. We also have our first wanted poster of the series. I got Buggy in mine. It's not guaranteed that you'll get any specific one. That's a little bit annoying. I don't like the gambling aspect, but I do like having these different wanted posters. And they're also printed very nicely. These are printed parts, and they just look great. I really like how they managed to do Buggy's wanted poster with his 15 million berry bounty. It looks nice. It looks also really close to how it looks in the live action series. So yeah, they did a good job. But yeah, this can also be removed if you want some visual/internal access on this side, and you can just kind of have people milling about the bar. I really like how the little glasses on the back were done, just kind of clipping onto these back bars. It's a simple technique, but it honestly is very effective. I like that we also get the broom and, or this is a mop, sorry. For all of you fans of mops out there, so that you can recreate the different scenes that you can basically recreate any party's bar scene with this outside of the minifigures. Like, it gives you all of the pieces to role play party's bar scenes, which I feel is very good to have, especially for doing party's bar. It feels like they are giving you everything you could get out of party's bar. There's also a tree here. I do like the way these cones kind of recreate like the classic Lego palm tree look while still not having those moles. It could be a bit more angled, but that's fine. Maybe get some of the flex tube. I don't know. But yeah, I do like the red seats. I do like the way the bar is constructed. I do like the party's bar sign behind the bar, even though it's like a sticker. There's a lot of stickers, which is a little annoying, but overall, while being $30, and I wouldn't say being an immediate buy unless you really want to recreate this scene specifically, I think it is worthwhile, and I'm glad that it got made as a set. And it also just kind of goes to show that you can have a set meant to recreate a specific meaningful moment in a film or piece of media or whatever as a Lego set, and not require it to be like a crazy big expensive diorama that wastes like $40 worth of pieces on making a base. You can just have the building and make it $30. This is just the Shanks passing off the Luffy hat scene. I mean, it's a lot of other stuff. You can obviously have Luffy eating the gum fruit. You can have just general bar shenanigans. If you get yourself some fan-made mountain bandit or whatever, you can easily recreate the mountain bandit scenes. And this is a fun set for play, for role play mainly. Obviously, there's no gimmicks, which is a little bit annoying, but I don't know what mechanized gimmicks they could have included into this without inflating the price by a lot. But also it just works as a display piece. Again, I'm probably going to keep it like this so that it can all be centered around that scene being there, which honestly is the main reason why I was happy to buy this. But yeah, very good set. I'll probably have more thoughts about it later on. I'm trying not to be too overwinded and specific, even though I spent like 10 minutes on the minifigures. But yeah, this is a good set. I'd recommend it, especially for $30. Even if you don't get anything out of the play aspects, having a nice little like display piece that is centered around that scene as a One Piece fan is great to have. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little set, little overview, and I'll have more. You've seen the whole video probably, and if you haven't, go watch it. But there's more where this came from. Just give me some time and give me some time to space out these as video releases. And there'll also be action figure unboxings alongside them. Stay tuned, and there'll be more LEGO One Piece content. But until next time, I'll see you around later. Bye-bye!